Today in the Texas Tribune Weekend Insider. About 30% of prison inmates in Texas have been exposed to or are infected with hepatitis C. The drugs used to treat the disease are improving in effectiveness, but also skyrocketing in cost. Brandi Grissom looks into what is being done about this potential public health issue. Then reporter Jay Root gives us a peek inside his new book about Rick Perry's botched presidential campaign. It's called Oops, and it's a behind-the-scenes look at life on the trail. The food, the liquor, the gaffes, the way news is really gathered in a digital age.
Prison health officials estimate that up to 30% of the population in prison has been exposed to hepatitis C. It doesn't necessarily mean that all of them have it, but that they have the potential to develop it at some point. Hepatitis C is particularly problematic in prisons because of the lifestyle both inside and outside of prison that many of these inmates have been exposed to. So outside of prison, many of the factors that have led them to be in prison are, intravenous drug use, unprotected sex, those kinds of things that are ways to transmit hepatitis C. Then once they're in prison, a number of those lifestyle choices continue. It may not be necessarily intravenous drug use, but there's a lot of tattooing going on in prison. Currently, about 400 inmates throughout the system receive treatment for hepatitis C. It's a 2-drug protocol that right now costs the state about $2.8 million. There's a new hepatitis C protocol that is being developed by pharmaceutical companies. And the good news is that the cure rate for hepatitis C with these new drugs raises from 40% to about 70%, which is great. The trouble is sort of twofold. One, the cost for those drugs is very high. They're very expensive. The second big problem is that the drug protocol to use these new drugs is very specific. And in a prison system where it's very regimented, where you're dealing with all sorts of people meeting those protocols, those exact time frames, and providing the food, it all presents a really big challenge within the system. From a taxpayer standpoint, if the hepatitis C is caught early and treated early on, it prevents a lot of more expensive problems within the inmate down the line, like cirrhosis and liver cancer, which then lead to expensive needs for transplants and things like that. Secondly, it's a public health issue, really, because most of these guys are going to end up getting out. And if they have hepatitis C when they get out of prison, they're going to be more likely to spread it on the outside.
The book is about Rick Perry's disaster, his presidential campaign. And the way it came about was I keep diaries. I've always been sort of a diary keeper. And what my book does is it sort of takes you from the beginning where there was so much hope and promise, and he just entered it with all of this swagger and bluster and shot up to the polls, became the front runner, dethroned Mitt Romney, and then just blew up on the runway. For those first few weeks after he got into the campaign, it was like drinking from a fire hose. I mean, everybody wanted to know about Rick Perry. I was getting calls from all kinds of national and international media outlets. Who is Rick Perry? And then the big moment where the transmission fell out was in the Orlando debate.
But if you say that we should not educate children who have come into our state for no other reason than they've been brought there by no fault of their own, I don't think you have a heart.
And then he lost the Florida straw poll, and all of a sudden it was like, oh my God, this guy who we thought was going to be the front runner has just crashed and burned. And so, then you had this sort of rebuild. They brought in new people to rescue the campaign, and, he started, they thought that they could, get this back together. And then on November 9th in Rochester, Michigan, he committed what is widely believed to be the worst gaffe in a debate, in a televised presidential debate ever.
The third agency of government, yeah. I would do away with the education, commerce, and let's see, I can't. The third one I can't, sorry. Oops.
it got so much worse even after the oops moment that it's worth studying it as honestly one of the worst presidential campaigns ever. He didn't win any delegates. He didn't win any contests. He didn't win any straw polls. It's a cautionary tale for future presidential candidates. Hey, Amazon.com, Byliner.com. It's an ebook, you know, so get your Kindles out, check it out.